Okay, we need to identify area under the curve from the left. Remember, this is really, really, really important because if you remember on your z-table, if you look up at the example that they give you in the top left corner, it is always the area shaded from the left. That may not be what your problem gives you, but in order to use your z-table, that's what you have to have. So you need to identify the area under the curve from the left. Then we're going to search the middle of the z-table for that value. Because what you've been given is either a probability or a percent or area under the curve. It is not a z-score. So you're looking in the middle. You're looking at all of these values. Because these values right here represent area under the curve. And area under the curve is probability. Or it is a percent. So that's what these values are. So you're looking in here for the probability that you found, and then you're gonna go out to the side column and the top to get your z-score. Okay, so find the z-score that corresponds to a cumulative area of 0.9382. So before I actually find it, I'm going to make a little curve here. So remember, if I were to shade that entire curve in, that would be 1. It'd be 100%, or it'd be a probability of 1 if I were to shade in the entire thing. So I want to shade in 0.9382, which means I'm going to be shading most of the curve. And because it's cumulative means everything added from the beginning, and this is sitting just on a regular number line, so the beginning is on the left-hand side. So if I'm going to shade 0.9382, that would be a lot of this. I'll shade about that much. Because if I shaded the whole thing, that would represent 1. So I'm shading about 93.82%. Is everybody good so far? So that is the area under the curve. So I'm going to go to my z-table, and I am looking in the middle for 0.9382. Now sometimes you won't have that exact value, you just have to get as close as you can. But this time I do. 0.9382 is down here. It's at 1.54. That's it. Everybody okay?
Can you go to step 1? I didn't get it.
All right, so now if you look at number 2, they want us to find a z-score that has 8.69% of the distribution's area to the right. Now this time it's a percent that they gave us, but remember, percent really is just the same thing as probability. They just haven't moved the decimal. And probability is the same thing as area under the curve. So it really is asking the same question, but this time it says area is to the right. So if I were going to draw a little curve here, so since this one's a percent question, the shaded area under this curve would be 100%. They have 8.69% of the area to the right is shaded. So, I mean, that's not much at all. That's like this tiny little bit. Okay, well, here's the problem. I need it to the left. So how am I going to get, so I have, right now, this is the purple shaded area. Essentially, I need what's left white. How am I going to get that? Subtract from 1. So it would be 0.0869 as a probability instead of a percent. And I'm going to do 1 minus that to get the part that I'm going to have to look for on my Z table. All right, so that gives me 0.9131. That is the area under the curve. So I'm going to go to my Z table, and I'm looking in this part for 0.9131. .36. Are y'all good? Not bad, right? All right, so I'm going to show you how to do it on your calculator. It is super, super, super easy. It's almost easier on the calculator, but let me warn you. The problem is, when we put all these problems together, you guys forget calculator steps because there's a lot of them when we put all the problems together. Today, using the calculator is easy, but in 4 or 5 days, when we have 4 other things to do with the calculator, it can get confusing. So sometimes using the Z table is just easier than using the calculator. But if you're good with the calculator and you can remember all the calculator steps, then more power to you. I am going to show them to you because it is easy. And on the calculator, we can get a little bit more accurate. Oh, y'all, I didn't. Does y'all's have a back page? It should.
No.
Yeah, mine doesn't either. Damn it. Where are the ones with the back page? Dang it. That is super frustrating. I had them. Using the Z table, we're going to use our calculator. So, alright, so find the z-score that corresponds to the cumulative area, 0.7454. If it says cumulative area, that means it is shading from the left because it accumulates from the beginning to that point. So that's already from the left, which is good. So if I'm going to use my calculator, this is the opposite of what we've been doing before. When we had a z-score, we would go to the z-score part and look in the middle. So this is opposite of what we were doing. It is the inverse. So if you hit second and vars for the distribution menu, number 3 is inverse normal. Because this is the inverse of a normal distribution. You just type the area that you're looking for, 0.7454. Leave everything else the same. And it gives you 0.6601. That's your z-score. So, distribution, so second vars, inverse normal.
Okay. Period, 0.7454.
0.6601.
I was asking if that was the.
Oh yeah, you just put 7454. So that's it. That's all you have to do. So on my, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll look in my z table and see how close the two solutions are. 0.7454 on the z table. 0.66. So get the same thing regardless of which one you use. Is everybody good? But your calculator, just like your z-table, it gives you the shading from the left, always. All right, so let's try this one. All right, so I've got a 32.75 distribution of area to the right. So that means that 32% is shaded this way, or 0.3275. And remember, both my z-table and my calculator will only give me shading from the left. So in this case, I'm going to have to do 1 minus first. So I'm looking for the area of 0.67. I'm looking for the z-score for the area of 0.6725. So I'm going to go to second vars, get to my distribution menu, 3, 7, and I get 0.4468. That's your z-score. Are you okay? All right. So if they give you something that looks like this is just a notation thing that we don't see a whole lot, or we haven't seen a whole lot of. If they give you this, find the z-score for P, capital P, with a 15. That's the 15th percentile. Now, when we talk about percentiles, y'all heard him talk about percentiles as far as like your scoring. If they tell you that you're in the 90th percentile, what does that mean? That means, so as far as like where that would be on a curve, where would the 90th percentile be? Yeah, it'd be up towards the top, right? And when they're talking percentile, what they mean is 90% of everybody else is below you. So when they're mentioning percentiles, it is from the left. Unless they say you're in the top 10%. But they won't use the word percentile because percentile accumulates from the left. Does that make sense?
The top 10% would be 90.
So that, yeah, the top 10% would be the 90th percentile. So whenever they say percentile, they're talking about accumulating from the left. Which means that this just means I'm looking for the 15th percentile, which on a curve, the 15th percentile is going to be down here somewhere, right? Because that's only 15% below that value, so there's not going to be very much. Now, remember what z-scores are. Z-scores are standard deviations. So on a regular curve, that's a terrible curve. On a regular curve, remember this is 0. This would be 1 positive standard deviation, 1 negative. So what can you tell me about whatever z-score I get for this thing? What kind of number should it be?
Negative.
Should be negative because that's below 50 is the mean. So it's below the 50th percentile. So I can still, since it is shaded from the left, I can use my calculator and go into my vars menu, do inverse normal, and I would be looking for 0.15. And your z-score comes out to be negative 1.04. You could do the same thing on your, let me show you this on your z-table as well, because some people prefer to use their z-table. on your z table, if I go to look for 0.15, I can't find 0.15 exactly because my z table just doesn't have all those values on it. But if you look, I have right here, I have two different values. I have 0.1515 and I have 0.1492. Which one is closer to 0.15? 0.1492. Because it's only 0.0008 away, and the other one is 0.0015 away. So that one, you try to use the one that's closest, and that would give me negative 1.04. That's exactly what I got from the calculator. So you try to use the one that's closest. Now, every now and then, we'll encounter some that are the same distance away, and you can just choose which ones you want to use. If you're not using your calculator. Your calculator will give you a more exact value. All right, is everybody good so far? So let's do one more like that's a percentile, and I'll let you find it real quick and just tell me what it is. Find the z-score for P75. There you go again. 745. All right, we good? That far? All right, I know we've got just a couple minutes, so the first thing is super easy. Y'all should all know this because we have just done it. What is the equation to calculate a z-score? I mean, it's on the formula sheet, but y'all know it. You've done it enough. Nobody remember? Yes. All right, so we are going to transform a z-score to an x value. So in this case, what that means is we're going to know our z-score, we're going to know our mean and our standard deviation, we're not going to know x. So step one is going to be identify your z-score, your mean, and your standard deviation. We are going to plug them into the z-score formula. And we're going to use algebra to solve for x. Okay, so the scores on the statistics test followed a normal distribution with a mean of 73, a standard deviation of 3.5, and then they've given us three separate z-scores that we're going to calculate this with. So every time I'm using my z-score formula, x minus the mean over the standard deviation. So on this first one, my z-score is 1.56. So I plug in 1.56 for z. X is what I don't know. My mean is 73, and my standard deviation is 3.5. Now we are just solving for x. So what should I do first? Multiply. So I get 5.46 equals x minus 73. Add 73 to both sides. And you get x equals 78.46. Easy enough, right? Just a little bit of simple algebra, so very easy. Very easy. So next we got building. I'll come back. I don't know why I shouldn't do it. I don't know what I've done. The whole lesson, yeah. I'm supposed to close it when I forget. Okay, so we do this one real fast. Same thing.
I like calculus, which is pre-cal. It's just pre-calculus. I just don't like algebra.
I think I'm good at algebra.
Oh yeah, I finished this. I forgot.
I like where this is going.
This?
Just this part.
Like algebra. I don't like doing this though. I like it.
Okay, I like solving a random equation.
In your pre-cal class, do they use calculators?
We never.
We did maybe like 1 week.
Now, my regular pre-cal class, well, it's honors pre-cal, but my pre-cal class does. My college algebra class that will be college pre-cal, they won't be allowed to because Weatherford College doesn't allow it. So
Oh,
This was like a Miss Holman. She doesn't believe in
I know.
calculators.
Yeah, we kind of she and I have a difference of opinion about
there
that
the things that we used to do like sine and cosine, and yes, she let us have calculus.
Yeah. because you have to.
Because what does sine and cosine even mean when it goes into equation? I don't know. It just does it in a calculator. But most of it we all do with our head.
Usually how I figure out math is
Or I just snuck my phone into the calculator when we were doing the work.
What? So whenever I do math, if I don't know what I'm doing, like at all, I just automatically go to problem solving like we just did for X. No matter what.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, guess this goes over here now.
I just start adding and multiplying until I get something that's on the multiple choice.
And that's how I made a 70 form.
Well, now I have to
See,
look
I
for
did
that,
it.
I don't remember.
You get a lot of little coupon codes and stuff.
Really?
Okay.
You'll be the first to know when things come back from shop.
So this is the 4 steps to finding X values given probability. So it's basically just putting together the two things we just did.
When I put this on top.
When we're done,
Yeah, on the back.
You're not helping me. You're supposed to keep reading.
Probability.
X values given.
I know, you kept only reading out the part that I already read, but I thought you were going to keep going. I was trying to stop the time.
I was counting on her to read.
I was too.
That's why I asked what it said.
You don't identify what it says.
Okay, fine.
Identify
Keep going.
the area under the curve.
From the left.
Sometimes whenever people read a note out loud, I don't trust them. I'll look up and
You,
make sure
you don't
it's
trust
right.
that they can read, or you don't trust they're reading at all.
I don't trust that they read it right.
Maybe a little of both.
Or like, I don't know
People
if
like
I
start
heard
reading and
Yeah.
they start speaking, but you can't tell when they stop reading and start like
Seriously.
keep writing.
So, but I do that sometimes, like if I'm trying to write and then I'm talking, I'll write what I'm saying and not what I'm supposed to be writing.
Oh yeah, if someone's talking to me, I'll try to text
They're
someone.
talking
Oh,
about success and
absolutely.
failure.
I will
and
be
they're,
having a
writing
conversation
German
and
instead
that
of, like,
conversation will
success
go
and
into the
failure.
failure.
And I'm
Wait,
like,
what did I just say?
And I also use a lot of like text to speech, especially in the car. And I have road rage. You know, I'll be like,
Can't
oh
think it's
yeah,
so funny
I'll let
when
you
you
know.
drive and I'm driving.
Yeah, I just don't drive.
No, whenever we do, I'm like, get out of my way. Why are you going so slow? He's just, oh, what? He's like, it's just funny.
I remember he doesn't have road rage, but he'll like start tapping like on the
No, I literally,
gear shift.
I will, or I'll be like this, and like you can see my finger going like this, and I'll start like going like this on the steering wheel, like not hitting it, but just kind of like just tapping it, and he's like, you good? And I'm like, no, they're going so slow right now.
I
Like,
have
it's
he'll
like,
just he'll tap the gear shift and then he'll put his car in sports mode because he has sports mode, and then he'll just start going faster.
Yeah.
Like
I
I'm scared.
I don't have road rage, but I definitely have, or like I have road rage, but
I'm
it's like
like
gentle road rage.
You
I'm like,
also
dude, what the heck?
Road is
Like
like,
it's never like full on screaming, like flipping
Oh,
someone
mine's
off.
not.
It's just like, dude, what the heck?
I'm
Why
just
would you do that?
impatient
okay,
as
no,
an
today going,
I just
I was
don't
coming to
care.
school and I was
I'm
already
not in a
like,
hurry going where
And there's this
No,
person.
I drive like I'm
going
always
going
late. Then I'm like,
55,
well,
and
I have no rush. I don't know why I'm driving.
I do
like
too,
that.
actually. I actually drive really, really fast.
Me too.
But I don't have road rage. I just want to be in front of everybody.
Me
That's
too.
like my-
No, I'll be going like 55 on the back road, and the speed limit's like 35.
Yeah.
And I'll get behind someone, and they're going like 45. And I'm like, why are you going so slow?
I just need to be the front.
Yeah.
Like, see, I feel bad for honking at people who are too slow because I know they're being safe, but like,
No,
if
it's
they-
illegal.
if
It's
it's
illegal.
65 and you are going 45,
No, it's illegal.
Yeah,
to
you
do
can't
that.
go that The way that everyone just like cuts their speed in half when it starts sprinkling,
Oh my
like a little
god.
bit of rain, and everyone's just going so
Okay,
crazy.
but
But
I
even
hate
like
the people that you are like when it's pouring raining
And they're like
drive
on your
past you
butt.
so
Yeah,
fast.
because then the water like kicks
Yeah,
out.
and then it takes your.
Oh, I
car,
had
and you're
one.
like,
I had one where it was like
It says on
flooding
Aceable that
outside.
you have to slow down when it rains.
Yeah, but not like that.
No, when it rains.
Says on
It's like-
Aceable.
On Aceable, he says to go slower because of hydroplaning.
yeah, like I'm sorry.
Which, if you've ever hydroplaned, it is quite scary.
I hydroplaned like twice, and I did it like last week, and I was like, whoa, and I was like, then I was like trying to do it again, and I was like,
I did it on purpose because there was just like a puddle. I was like,
My
I
tires,
didn't do it every time I would like see a puddle, I'm like,
my tires have zero traction.
No,
So,
back
and I live off the highway, so like I have to turn on the highway every single time to get out of my house. And every time I turn on the
I was
highway
only
when
going
it's raining,
45.
I have
And
like
it was like,
like
no, I got
thing
Penny
right
to slow
on my
down to
car.
like 20.
And
And he was like on my
and
butt.
I'm
Like, it was
like,
pouring
yeah,
down so hard. You
like
couldn't
as I'm
see
like
it.
curving
And
and
I was like,
spinning,
boy,
I'm
it
like,
is raining. If you
I
want me
see
to
that.
brake check you and you were in
one
that's
time
fine.
I was
Yeah.
driving with Kinsey,
I would break.
and we were.
Well, because he was so
She was
close
making
that if
a
I
turn,
would
and
brake,
it just
like,
rained.
press on my brakes,
And
he
she was
wouldn't
taking
he
this
would
turn like
slide
50
into
miles
you
per
wouldn't
hour,
be able
and
to
she
brake.
just almost missed it, right?
And then he
So then we did like 180, and we were on the side of the road in the grass next to a pole in front of this Dollar General.
Oh, I would lose my mind.
If she would have turned like a little bit sooner, we would have touched us.
That's my daughter.
Yeah.
And then I
Who
know
is
that
that
guy.
Who is Diosa? I'm gonna put blood.
Literally
I know
slammed
that's
on his
so
brakes.
wrong.
How
I
long?
wrote it as
And then
go
he
see
followed
you.
me.
Why scores in the top 5%?
Dora. Biosa.
What I put blood.
Detective Biosa. Where's that? Where,
Guys, I wrote it as Josia.
where-
I put the I after the S.
Where's that from? What show?
Detective Dios Lucifer. But that, I don't think that's the name, the right name. It's similar, but I don't think it's like exactly correct.
I love this.
I know,
It
but
has to be.
it doesn't sound exactly.
Oh, this is probably Diosa. Not Diosa.
That's probably how you say that anyway.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, so.
Wait, that's a lot to write.
It is. It's because it was supposed to be printed.
If only
Yours
they
are
put
normally
it
right.
It was printed. I don't know why it didn't.
Macy's gonna be
That's a pretty good print.
Macy's not for very good.
No,
We'll
but
put it in her phone and look at it.
I was gonna say, she'll just take a picture of it, I'm sure.
The STD is kind of confusing.
STD.
I just keep saying it as STD, not Stevie.
Well, I was gonna just put the Sigma, and then I was like, if I put a Sigma, everybody's gonna be like, what is that? Little O, weird thing. So, I didn't wanna write a Sigma.
Okay, my dyslexia is so hard.
Never mind.
And I don't even have it.
What's the minimum score of Y?
Mine goes off in Crawford when I'm writing my notes. I'm not even dyslexic, but there's so many times where I'll just mix up the letters and the words. I'm like,
I mix up my letters and numbers.
just like this.
My favorite thing.
Okay,
Did you just say
I was just
so Diosa is in the top 5%. So
Well, ISS did the same thing, I'm pretty sure.
they gave us a curve. Y'all, on all assignments from this point forward, if there is a curve on it, shade it because it's part of it. Like they want you to shade the curve. So in this case, it says she's in the top 5%. So if we shade the top, I don't know, that's going to be just like this. It's not much. A little piece up here. All right. So my first step says to identify the area under the curve from the left. And this is from the right. So I need to subtract. So 5% would be 0.05. So I have to do 1 minus 0.05, and that gives me 0.95. use the Z table or the calculator to find your Z-score. I'm going to use the Z-table on this one only for this reason. I want to show you 0.95. In the next couple of weeks, we will find this one a lot, 95%. That's really commonly used. And on the Z-table, when we're using a Z-table, this is one where the two values are pretty equally distant from each other, I think. Yeah. There's 0.9495 and 0.9505. They're exactly the same distance away. Use 1.64. That's actually closer to, so.
Wait, but that was the, oh wait, just did, okay. 0.959, point 9495.
So Z-score is 1.64. Now I need my mean and my standard deviation with my Z-score, and I'm going to plug it all into the Z-score formula. X is what I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out, is what score Joseph could have made. Minus 73 over 3.5. That's it. It's not bad, right? It's easy. It's not bad. It won't get. It's not going to get confusing until we have multiple. Like now you're looking. Now you have the probability and look for the Z-score. Oh, now you have the Z-score. Look for the probability. Now that's when it gets confusing. But it's still not hard to do. It's just you got to keep track of which thing you're doing.
I'm probably just going to get confused when you have to just find the Z-score versus having to do the whole set.
Oh, instead of going all the way, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, these first one, that's all they are, just finding the Z-score.
because I'm bad at reading and figuring out what it wants.